The Quran clearly tells us that feeling anxious, feeling worried, stressful is a part of being human. There's nothing wrong with that. Societal problems can and will cause us stress. Allah says to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, وَلَقَدْ نَعْلَمُ أَنَّكَ يَضِيقُ صَدْرُكَ بِمَا يَقُولُونَ. We know that your heart is in pain because of what they say. Think about that. Your heart is in pain because of what people are saying about you. In Surah Al-Kahf, فَلَعَلَّكَ بَاخِعُ نَفْسَكَ أَلَّا يَكُونُ مُؤْمِنِينَ. This is a powerful verse that really shows us what depression can lead to. Allah is speaking to the Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and He is saying, it is possible that your anxiety, your anguish will cause you to die. I know it sounds very melodramatic. This is the Arabic word bakha'a. Bakha'a means to die because of grief. Bakha'a means to go into depression, into such a state that you end your life. Not suicide, but basically your depression causes you to die. And Allah says in the early Meccan phase, Ya Rasulullah, we know you're going down this road. Ya Rasulullah, you're getting too anxious, too worried. Don't go down this road. You might die in anguish. But of course, our Prophet, why was he so anguished? Why was he grieved? Because the people didn't believe. Not because of money. Not that I'm saying there's nothing wrong with that, but our Prophet is obviously not going to become depressed because of money. Why was he depressed? Why was he, I shouldn't even say the word depressed to me. I should say he was feeling anguish. That is the better phrasing. He was feeling extreme anguish. Why was he feeling anguish? Because his people did not believe. That anguish, that anxiety, Allah says, you might end up dying because of that anxiety. فَلَعَلَّكَ بَاخِعُ نَفْسَكَ أَلَّا يَكُونُوا مُؤْمِنِينَ. Also, we learned from the Quran that the mother of Musa, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says to her, فَرَدَدْنَاهُ إِلَىٰ أُمِّهِ كَيْ تَقَرَّ عَيْنُهَا وَلَا تَحْزَنْ. We returned Moses to his mother so that she could find comfort and stop worrying. Stop worrying. It's normal. Nothing wrong with worrying, with being anxious, with having grief. So much so Allah says about the Prophet Yaqub, that what does Yaqub happen when his son Yusuf went away? That Allah Azza wa Jalla says, وَبِيَضَّتْ عَيْنَاهُ مِنَ الْحُزْنِ. His eyes became blind because he was worried and cried. The crying, the grief was so much, his eyes became blind. Allah did not criticize him for getting sad. Allah did not castigate him for feeling the grief. His son, his beloved son Yusuf went missing, as we know the story. And his love for Yusuf exceeded all bounds. And the grief that he felt was so much, the anguish that he felt was so much, that 12 years later, 15 years later, his own children said, when will you stop blabbering about Yusuf? Stop it! Enough! And he himself, his eyes became blind, and Allah never once criticized him. Why? Because that anguish, that grief, it was still within checks. He didn't go beyond to an unhealthy level, as we will talk about inshaAllah ta'ala later on. As well, Maryam alayhi salam, when she fled, when she was pregnant, as you know, and Allah told her to leave your community, she was alone, she was with child, nobody to help her. She didn't know how to deliver a baby, all alone. What is going to happen to her? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that فَنَادَاهَا مِن تَحْتِهَا أَلَّا تَحْزَنِي. There was a voice that came out. Don't worry. Don't worry. The comfort is from Allah. Allah is telling, Allah did not say, oh Maryam, you're such a pious lady. You're the best lady of mankind. How could you worry? No. Allah comforted her. لَا تَحْزَنِي. Don't worry. We'll take care of you. We'll make sure everything is fine. Look, here's a river. Look, these are the dates. Look, everything is taken care of. In other words, Allah is consoling those that have grief, and He's not making them feel guilty for that grief. So we learn from all of this, brothers and sisters, that feeling anxious, stressful, worried, having what we call somewhat normal or natural depression, this is a part of life. Nothing wrong with that. You don't have to feel spiritually bad if you're extra anxious or extra worried. The point is that we have to keep it within a healthy bound and not take it to a level that is unhealthy.